Ladies and gentlemen, I am Jonathan Mizar. You can call me John. Today, we're talking about the Peak Design 30-liter everyday backpack version 2. I know it's a mouthful. It's just a bag at the end of the day. Let's be honest. It's a thing that holds things. And as a person who owns things and holds things, I can give you a good review on holding things with this thing. I know. It's a bag. And look, this bag costs $300. Which is why I want to just give my thoughts on it, because look, if you look in the world of photography bags, it's pretty in line with like some Low Pros, Wandered, other brands that I just aren't coming to mind. It's pretty fair as far as a camera bag goes. If you compare it to like luxury bags, like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci bag, it's a steal. It's a budget. But yes, if you compare it to something like an Osprey bag or a North Face bag, or just like a JanSport bag, yeah, this is gonna look insanely expensive by comparison. But it's mainly focused, not just for photography, but it really has a photography focus, as well as just like general tech in general. Right? I've been using this bag day in and day out for just about everything, from every paid gig, every wedding I've shot, every photo shoot, every personal project, every time I've flown, internationally, domestically, every time I've gone on a big hike. This has been the bag that's been on my back. Like every good photo you've seen me take, this bag has probably been within reach for the last 4 years. If I'm being completely honest though, it's like 3 years and 10 months, but 4 years just sounds better in the title. Please don't crucify me for that one. It's rough out here, okay? We gotta make good SEO approachable. You get it. And look, I don't wanna be a critic. I'd rather collect taxes for the IRS than be a critic. Like everyone's a critic at the end of the day. It's the fact that I love this bag, but just like anything you use day in and day out, you buy a car and you just like don't notice little things, and then after years of getting in and out, you like notice you always catch like something on the door handle, or just like weird stuff just stacks up. And no matter how much internal testing you do, you're always gonna catch things you didn't. And look, this is a version 2 bag after all. So they've definitely made improvements, and there's just certain things that I think they could improve. On top of that, though, I do want to give some considerations to the engineers, because engineering is a very difficult thing with a lot of layers of complexity. And in the fact that, first off, it's not just can you make the best bag ever. It's can you make a bag at a good cost that's reasonable to people that they will buy. Can it be produced at production? They're making hundreds of thousands of these bags. I don't know the actual timetable, but I'm sure they're built in like less than 20 minutes. It can't be so complex that people need to do every part of it by hand. The bag it has to be made at scale. And third, with all that as well, it needs to be, they're going for the environmental sustainability stuff, and I can't verify any of that, but even if they're faking it, I do appreciate when a brand leans that way. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's just a lot that goes with engineering, and I don't let me rant too long, but I want to say this, like I just had to buy new all-terrain tires for my Land Cruiser, and I was like, oh, I'll get the best tires for just everything. And that's not really the case. You can't really do that. Like tires that tend to be better for snow and ice tend to just be worse for mud. Or tires that are better off-road tend to just be that much worse on-road. It's actually give and take. You can't just perfectly make the best all-around thing. And I do think this bag is trying to be an everyday bag. I do think they lean a little bit more towards like the urban air travel design philosophy. And I think it leads to a lot of good things, but it also leads to a lot of drawbacks. And I'm not saying that those drawbacks are completely their fault. I just think that it's at the cost of something else, and it just needs to be taken with some nuance. Furthermore, if I am going to criticize things, like I really don't want to do, but here we are, you have to criticize things for what they are. And the fact that when I bought my car, all the speakers were blown out my car to put all new speakers in. And I was like buying these tweeters off of Amazon. And there was like a couple bad reviews of people being like, yeah, I put these in my car, just no bass though. And I'm like, it's a tweeter. There is no bass. And I was like, and it's just like, I was like, oh man, Amazon reviews are only like as good as the people who understand what they're buying. And I understand that being a jack of all trades means you sacrifice some things, or leaning towards like urbanism might detract from some of the outdoors or comfort of the bag, which is honestly the reason I'm reflecting on this bag. I've owned this bag for 4 years. They're coming out with their outdoor line, which I'm incredibly excited for because that's a majority of what I do. But hey, like, let's get into it. Let's review this bag. And what this bag, in my opinion, is it is an everyday bag, but it really focuses on the urban aspect, like people commuting, on their job, taking the train, the bus, as well as flying. It's like one of the best backpacks you can have for flying. It really, because it doesn't really expand except on the top. It's a rigid structure. It perfectly maximizes the space that you're allowed to carry on most airlines. So like if you're flying like Frontier, Spirit, any of those budget airlines where you just get a backpack, you're like right at that line. And then even for, more premium airlines that are more strict, that even if you push the line a little bit, you're still going to be able to fit it under the plane seat. It's just a great bag for travel, but I'm going to reflect on 4 years of using all across the board. Let's get into it. At the end of the day, it's a bag that holds things. So the most important thing to talk about and look at is the actual storage options and the protection level of this bag. And to give it its pros and its cons, first off, the storage, just a very general overlook, is these layered, they're layered shelves essentially, and you're able to store gear in here. And these are flexible, so you can kind of get some unique shapes depending on the type of gear you have. And it's very good for really maximizing the amount of crap you can shove into this bag. This bag is also really good at maximizing protection from the outside world. It's very weatherproof. I've never had an issue with rain. I've never had an issue with like having it dropped or anything like that. All my gear stays very protected. My biggest criticism is I think that the internal protection from objects inside the bag is not necessarily as good as it could be. And we can get into it real quick. The first thing that really always drives me nuts is there is a zipper right here for one of the side pockets in one of the flaps that opens up as a side door. And I don't know why you would have an open exposed zipper in a bag where you have camera lenses and cameras that have exposed screens and viewfinders and stuff like that, just glass. And there's a level of acknowledgement where I want to say maybe I'm too paranoid. I definitely have an anxiety issue. But I am always so scared if I have like my 5D where the screen sticks out, I'm not able to fold it in like other cameras, that if I drop this bag on its side, that zipper is just going to smack it and shatter the glass. I don't know if that's ever happened. Please tell me if you've ever had that happen with your Peak Design bag. But I just don't understand why they would do that. And to further exaggerate that point of these side pockets, I do really enjoy that they're microfiber. It's really beneficial for the fact that it allows them to stretch quite significantly if you want to put some larger objects in there. But I find myself never wanting to put anything too rigid in there because I don't want like batteries in here smashing up on my lens or anything. And I understand that the microfiber material probably allows more stretch depending on what you're trying to put in there. But and it's probably more lightweight, but I do wish they used a little bit of a more rigid protective material so that if I wanted to put like camera batteries or anything just harder and larger, I wouldn't have to be so worried about it damaging my gear. Furthermore, there's one here on the side pocket and there's also another one up here on the top pocket. They're great. And especially this top one, I understand the expansion a lot more because I tend to put a lot more stuff up there. I just wish that there was a little bit more protection between the gear on the shelves and the gear in the microfiber bags, if you want to put it that way. Actually, looking at the shelf system, this is my favorite thing about this bag, and I'm ordering their new outdoor bag, and I'm thinking that bag will be significantly better for me because I spend a majority of my photographing experience in the outdoors, hiking and stuff like that. But I am holding my reservations that I think I'll really miss this shelf system. Because their new bag is a little bit more traditional, like a low pro bag or something like that with these camera cubes where it's just a traditional like lay flat experience. The shelf system is really nice for just the flexibility as well as with these giant side pockets on both sides as well as, this top hatch and the flexibility. You're able to get to your gear pretty quickly. So it's nice to like switch lenses or things that are typically not enjoyable experiences. You can just get to them quite easily. My biggest beef with the shelves, and I'm going to take one out here so we can just take a quick look at it. These are the best part of this bag is the flexibility here. What I will say, though, is I do wish they held their shape a little bit better. And the fact that if you have not a very substantial object or something that's not quite large enough to prop this up, I find that there tends to be an issue with like heavier gear kind of really shoving it down or really they're competing for their origami shape, essentially. On top of that, I wish that this could be a little bit more rigid, but, now you have a thing that's like $20 and it's $50. And Maybe I wish they offered like a pro version I could buy externally. I don't even know if that makes sense. I just wish that these held their shape a little bit better. Furthermore, if you do have an object that doesn't quite fit, so like obviously small, larger, or whatever, if you have an object that's not quite small enough for the small fold, but not quite big enough for the big fold, you do tend to get quite a bit of rattle. Like I really have this with my 16-35 a lot, where I want to carry my wide angle, but then the whole time I'm hiking, I just feel it like rolling around in my back. Like it's not the end of the world. I don't actually think that's too damaging to the gear. It's just slightly annoying. Hello, people. Quick interjection, because I kind of explained this terribly, so let me do a better job. I just wanted to accurately represent the origami packing shape, which is like the 16-35 here, maybe a little too big to fit into this single spot. But if we have this one propped up, it does fit in here, but there is definitely enough room that it rolls around a little bit, as well as it does require me to keep an object over here that's substantial enough to keep this up. Typically, if I keep this empty, it does hold up, but if I'm moving around enough, it'll eventually push this down, and then we're really shaking around in here. Not the end of the world, but this is one of the downsides of this origami packing system. And the funny thing is, because of, I feel not as confident about the internal storage as much, as I find myself just throwing a ton of microfibers on everything. Like if I have like a small point and shoot camera, or if I have like my 5D and I have the open screen, I'll just throw a microfiber in there to just provide a little bit of padding or to reduce rattle. And it's really not the end of the world. It's actually nice to have microfibers to clean screens and clean lenses and stuff on the go. But I do think it is a little bit of a... I don't know if I'm too paranoid, or I don't know if I'm just... I don't know. But I find myself just needing to throw microfibers in this bag all the time. And it's nice to have the microfibers, but I think it's a little ridiculous that I feel the need to throw microfibers in to make my gear feel secure in a camera bag. The other thing I want to add on the storage side is that this is expandable. Like this, there's multiple points of connection, and you can get all the way up to the top one. So if you have like a bag, of course you have a bag. If you have like a jacket or something in there, it's nice just being able to really push the full 30 liters. And you know, you're probably not going to make a flight with it fully expanded, but for like a hike or something where you just want a jacket because you never know when a storm will roll in, it's nice having a flexible feature as far as that goes. The other thing to say, and why I really like the shelf feature, is obviously some areas are easier to reach than others, but I just find that no matter whether it's on the bottom layer, the middle layer, the top layer is obviously the easiest, but I find it quite easy because of this giant side pocket as well as the top latch. I can get all my gear pretty easily, and I'm someone who hates switching lenses. I do, and so it's nice to have the bag at least meet me as far as it can in the direction of making my life easier when I need to do that. And it's really nice because these rotate quite easily, which really allow you to keep it like in front of you and access it like such. Storage is great. It's honestly the biggest pro of this bag. Everything else I understand is a little nitpicky, but it is really the best part about this unique shelf system is incredible. A little furthermore, on the outside, I do wish these pockets had a little more stretch in them. Getting some of those larger water bottles in there is a bit of a pain, especially if this bag is really full. I do tend to find tripods to be totally fine, but like a 30-liter water bottle, you're definitely pushing it, especially like when I have my 70-200 on a camera in the bottom. Like I'm really fighting to get this thing to stretch. The drain pockets are very beneficial though. And this is where I go back and forth, is I actually love this setup, the shelf setup with the origami padding so much that it's my only reservation about getting their new outdoor bag is that they've actually gone to these camera cubes, which is a little bit more of a traditional padded camera layout, like what you might see from Lowepro or something. And I'm like, all right, well, I bought your bags because I like the unique layout and the unique storage. I'm curious to see if I find myself really wanting to come back to this or not so much. Now, time to address my biggest gripe with this bag, which is after we've put all our stuff in it, how comfortable is this bag to carry around? And the truth is, it's not very comfortable. I tend to find it just fine for urban travel, for flying, places where I get to sit quite often, or I can drop my bag off, or I'm getting a drink, or I'm just not walking for miles and miles and miles on end. I tend to find it bearable enough for that. when I hike, if I load, like I'll show you in the B-roll. I'm a psycho. I put a ton of camera gear in this bag. Probably slightly unreasonable. But when I load it up like that, I know in my heart that I will wake up with like at least 1 or 2 knots on my back the next day. And I'm a pretty fit guy. Like I lift a ton. And even with that, this bag just kind of sucks at supporting a ton of weight, which is where I do think this bag is not as outdoor focused not as it could be, but as I want it to be. And that's why I'm excited for their new bags. I think that they're going to be more comfortable for sustained hiking. And as a man, I carry most of my weight on my shoulders, and I don't tend to find myself wanting the hip belt too often. I will use it for really long hikes, like if I'm doing a 14er or something. But the shoulder straps and the sternum strap tends to be enough for me. And if I know it's a long one, I'm going to get that hip belt. My partner, as a woman, does not like this bag for long hikes at all. Even with not as much weight as I'm putting in the bag, she tends to find this bag puts just way too much stress on the shoulders and not enough on the hips. And women just do a better job at carrying weight in their hips compared to their shoulders. And, you know, I think that's the difficult thing with like unisex bags. Like if you ever look at like Osprey backpacking bags, there's a reason they make a men's and a woman's version. And I do think this bag just leans a little bit more towards men's physical makeup, and that's fine. I just think it's something that people should be aware of. The hip belt does help for me. I don't think it does enough to make it comfortable for hiking though. And you know what I'll say though? And look, my partner, when we do long hikes, she has to use a different bag. She has one of her own, and she does not ever use this bag for hiking. She hates it for that. She uses a North Face bag and just throws like a camera cube in there. I enjoy the storage of this bag enough, and I enjoy other features of this bag enough that even for its lack of comfort, I still find myself using this bag. So as much as I'll gripe about the comfort of it and wish it was better, it's not detrimental enough that I'm not going to, like, and it just comes down to what you use, like from an engineering standpoint. I'm sure every bit more of comfort they added, that much more padding, it's that much room, it's that much less room that could be used for storage, or it's that much more space that puts you over the threshold for most airline carriers. I know there's some give and take, and this bag really maximizes on the storage and the efficiency. It does not care about your comfort whatsoever. It's not a comfortable bag at all, in my opinion. Real quick, just another thing I forgot to mention is this thing right here, this piece of fabric is for tucking the sternum strap in when you're putting it across your body. But this loves to ride up on here, and then when you go to actually hook it, it won't hook because that piece of fabric's there, so you always have to pull that out. Not the end of the world, but again, just want to mention every little thing. Real quick, I'd like to just address the wear and tear of the bag, because I have beaten the crap out of this bag, for lack of better words, for day in, day out about 4 years. The bag has actually held up pretty well, all things considering, and I want to address 2 things: the wear and tear, and also they offer, these are expensive bags, they offer a lifetime warranty. They have this claim that if you ever break your bag past the point of functionality, they will replace it with a refurbished one, and you mail in theirs and they make it a refurbished bag for someone else. And I've never had to switch it out, but I have encountered their claims team for various things, and I do want to reflect on that as well. But first, anything cosmetic, I don't really care about as much. It's a bag for carrying stuff for me. It's not a fashion statement. And a lot of the paint on the aluminum, I have scratched off, like on the back. I'll show you in the B-roll. On the shoulder straps and stuff, like all that's gone. Some of the zippers, that's gone. The clip is a little dented in. My sternum strap, like I know I've dented that aluminum a decent amount. Nothing that big of a deal. It's mostly cosmetic stuff. And internally, I can see that the microfiber pockets in some places have gotten worn a little thin. Again, not the end of the world. I don't think it actually affects the bag functionally. It just looks a little worn, but that's patina, baby. That's patina. That's just looks. The 2 I hate, and I can say, as someone who actually owns 2 of these, I bought one for my partner. They advertise these ultra durable zippers. My zipper has 2 points where the zipper is definitely getting a little tired. It's on my right big pocket. That one's the worst by far. I actually regularly take like my Leatherman and like fix it. And I know I'm probably getting close to the point where I could say, hey, I need my zipper fixed. But I'll reset it like probably once every month or so, and it seems to be fine enough. And then I just have to be a little careful when I'm using that side. And then on the laptop sleeve, up on the corner, again, just another spot, not even close to as bad, but I can tell the zipper's a little tired and it just likes to get caught there a lot. On my partner's bag, she has like a bag that's like 2 years newer. I can tell the zippers are completely different. I don't know if I'm just in my head about that, but I don't know if that has gotten improved with newer models. And as of what, 1 or 2 years of using yours, she doesn't have any issues with hers. Her zippers are great. So I do want to say that is maybe a non-point for newer bags, but if you buy like a refurbished one off their website, maybe you're getting the older zippers. Who knows? But in a perfect world, they'll replace it if you ever have an issue. And I actually did have one thing that passed the point of cosmetic. There's magnets in the bag that hold your shoulder straps in place for like when it's in luggage mode or you're like carrying it like a briefcase or putting it on. It's good for flying and stuff like that, or putting it in a car. It just keeps it all nice and tidy. And my magnet got dislodged and it was like sliding up and down in the cushioning of the bag. It was annoying because I could feel the magnet poking me in the back. And 2, it was annoying because my shoulder strap wouldn't stay locked in. And I reached out to them and they were very quick about it, but they didn't want to replace my bag. And I actually don't have beef with that. They actually directed me to go buy super glue and take a needle and poke a hole and like glue it back into place. And I'll show you in the B-roll. It doesn't look very pretty in that spot anymore. I don't care at all, like not even a little bit. Cannot stress enough how little I care about that. But if you do reach out to them, they may direct you to try and do some self-repair before they are willing to replace your bag. I don't have beef with that. I think it's better for everyone if we're not paying for, shipping and stuff like that. It's fine. I just want my bag to work. I am relatively confident that if I ever did catastrophically break my bag, that they would replace it for me. And I do want to add one more thing because I'm stupid. Not very smart, but thank you for watching my video and my thoughts. I have one of their like Peak Design clips or whatever, and I didn't realize you could twist it to lock it. And so I like thought I broke it, and I was like, dude, it's broken. It's like, I need a new one. And they're like, just twist it. And they were so nice about it to my stupid self. I just want to say they're at the very least very nice and very patient. But no, the bag's held up incredibly well for how much I use it. And that is my experience with their claims team. I've seen people online say it's very good. The claims team is really nice about replacing. I've seen people be like, it's a lie, because everyone knows a warranty is only as good. I have to say my experience has personally been very positive, and I think if you catastrophically destroy the bag, like, the zipper breaks or something, like, not you destroy it, you don't set it on fire, they probably won't replace it. But if the wear and tear replaces the point or outpaces the point of cosmetic damage, I do think that will replace your bag. Just some random things real quick, because they didn't really fit into the 3 primary categories I cared about. One, this is a bad one. Actually, no, we'll start with the good one. Positivity first. There's a lot of magnets on this bag, like primarily, and here, maybe I'll show you on the B-roll. We'll see if we have one in here. Good goodies. Up in here, there's like straps for like attaching things like a towel or whatever. But there's a magnet right here. And whenever, there's a couple, some goodies. You probably can't see them. I'll get like magnetic rocks stuck on this. So whenever I go and like I'm cleaning my bag and I'll like bring my finger through there, I'll always like swipe out a bunch of rocks. I don't know if that's just like the soil composition of Colorado or whatever, but I just find it funny that I get little goodies on my magnets from the soil. The other thing, and maybe I can show this really well, this is the Peak Design capture clip. This does not come with the bag. This is not included in the bag, so I didn't want to review it harshly because it's not part of the bag. It's an additional thing I purchased. This adds extra weight to this strap, and it does make it a little bit harder for it to want to magnetically lock in here so that I'm not getting like, I find it, I have to manually do it with that one because of that strap. Not a big deal. I just say it, you know what I mean? We're just here. We're just living life. Another quick thing I wish I explained a little bit better here is these straps have magnets here and there's magnets here. So when you go to put this on here, the straps lock in, so when you're carrying it around, the straps aren't flying around. The capture clip doesn't make it fall off. It's actually strong enough to hold both of these. It's that if the bag has the straps loose like this and I go to lift it up and take it with me, this will grab onto the magnet, and this one never does. I always have to manually come in here and put it on. It's that thing. I've owned the bag for 4 years, and it's just one of those slight annoyances I've noticed build up. But I still like the bag. And final thing, I'll just say the aesthetic of the bag. It's only funny because, like, I love art. I love the aesthetic of things. I love, like, iconic things, whatever. I think it looks good, but I also think that this bag would have to look aggressively bad for me to, like, really care. Like, I wouldn't say it's the most beautiful bag I've ever seen, I really like the leather feature on this bag, and I wish that maybe there was a little bit more organic material. I know that would probably be harder to upkeep and stuff like that. It's a good looking bag, but again, it would have to look pretty bad for me to be like, ew. I don't know. That's it. Would I recommend this bag to you? Generally speaking, yes. It's an expensive bag, but look, I bought my partner one for her photography and her general travel and all that stuff. I can't think of a bigger endorsement than that, as I bought it for someone I love and care about deeply. That's like up here. Is that even in frame? No, we're out of frame. I apologize. It's way up there, okay? I've used this bag for 4 years. Would I buy it again? Yeah, I think I would. I really enjoy it, especially for like paid photo gigs. It's really nice to be able to access my gear. If you are not a photographer, I think it's a little bit of a harder argument. Like, I will say, when I worked in tech, one of my coworkers, he was like an audio guy, and he'd always have like a nice pair of headphones in there, and like he'd have a mixer and a microphone. He wasn't a photographer, but it was relatively fragile gear, and he had the smaller version, the 20 liter. But he really liked it for just carrying recording equipment on him, because, you know, good bags are good bags for most things. And most people carry fragile things around, like whether it's a Switch or anything like that, Steam Deck. I think this bag is quite useful. Would it be the perfect school bag? I think it's probably a little overkill. I think, I don't know, how many textbooks do they carry in school anymore? Is it all on an iPad? I don't know. It's a good bag for general tech carry. And if that's what you do, I would recommend it. I did want to laugh at the fact, though, that the price has gone up. I noticed when I was pulling my receipt, this bag was $280. And now they go for like $290 or $300. That's not too bad. It's like a 3 to 7% increase, depending on which model you buy. I blame Peak Design. They should have done something to fix inflation. It's their fault. Blame them. Don't buy their bags. They made the economy what it is. Sorry, guys. I'm just a smart aleck. Should you buy this bag? Probably. Just buy it. I don't care. You own one? Buy another one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just taking the We're gonna do our outro. I'll just do the outro right here. I am John. I shoot photos. If you want to see photos that look good, go to my website. I'll put it in the description down below. Just tell me what you think. I like my photos, but if you take photos, maybe share yours with me. I always like to check out, be part of the community. I'd love to see the stuff you guys work on. I also do a newsletter every month. I don't spam you. It's once a month. You already missed this month. Sorry. But there's going to be one in like 20 some days. I don't spam you. It's just like the creative things I'm working on, my thought process, stuff like that. I'd really recommend signing up if you just want a little more insight into what I do. This is YouTube, people. I make other videos. Feel free to subscribe, check them out, whatever. We're actually about to hit YouTube. We're actually YouTube sponsored now, but we're almost at full AdSense, so I would actually really extra appreciate it. It really means a lot. Make art a full-time gig. Let's do it. Final thing, I'm on other social medias as well, not just YouTube. It's the same handle for everything, @JMizar. If you check it out, appreciate you. If not, you're still great. Much love. Love you. No one else, just you. That's it. We're just kind of around. I'm not going to put the in there, but we're... Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you. You're the best. Cheers.